Welcome back. Today I thought we'd do an almighty barn. And I'm going to ask them to graphically run the colors across the screen, so in case you missed them in one of our earlier shows, you can pick them up now. And thought today we'd do what they call a Wisconsin Swedish barn. Now, that's just a big old huge barn. So let's get to going here and let's do one. Going to start out with a little tiny bit of phthalo blue, just a small amount on the large brush. And we'll drop in a happy little sky here, starting right at the very top, going all the way across. There we are. And we already had the canvas covered with magic white, so it's nice and wet and slick and ready to go. And you can see how it's blending with this color. As you work down the canvas, it picks up the magic white, and automatically your color gets lighter as it gets closer toward the horizon. Okay, that'll give us a quick little sky, something to play with. Maybe we'll take the phthalo blue and add a little bit of Van Dyke brown to it, just to dull it down. And let's go right in here. Maybe will there be a little bit of water down here? Just a tiny bit. Okay, that'll give us something to work with. All right, let's clean the brush. There we are. Okay, let's take a 1-inch brush and put some clouds right up here in the sky. I'm going to take titanium white and the smallest little amount of permanent red and just put a little sunshine in the cloud. Now, we don't want to set these clouds on fire. All we want to do is put a small amount of pink, just a little bit. Okay, let's go right up here. Now, all we do is touch the canvas and make little tiny circles and just draw in some basic cloud shapes. Really push that paint. Keep the brush moving, don't let it set. Don't want to have big cotton balls up in the sky here. We want to have some nice fluffy little clouds. And let's go right over here and give him a little friend. There he is. Just a little floater. Okay. Maybe I'll put a tiny bit more right here. Maybe make this cloud even larger. Now let's take the large brush and very carefully, very gently, just blend the bottom of the clouds out. This is just a super simple little way of making clouds that are very effective, very pretty. Only takes you a second. Now we'll fluff the clouds up. Zoop, zoop, there we go. And very gently, just blend them together. Isn't that fantastic? That's such a nice way to make little clouds. And that gives us a quick little sky. Now I'm going to go right into a little bit more of the phthalo blue and alizarin crimson. We'll just mix it right here on the brush, no big deal. Looking for a purplish color. And let's put some little background trees back here. All we're going to do is just touch the canvas, pull downward with a large brush. These are just far away little distant trees, just to give us a little background. Okay, maybe there's a few right in here. Just drop them in, wherever you think they ought to be. Okay, now we can clean the brush up again, and we can start painting here. Now then, let's take a 1-inch brush and begin putting a little highlight on some of these distant trees back here. I'll use a little yellow ochre, maybe the tiniest little bit of permanent red. Just mix all these colors on the brush. And we'll go right back in here and just drop some basic little colors here and there. We're not worried about shape in here. We're just want some color in the background. There we go. Just some little things happening far, far away. There's a nice one. There he is. Just let them fall right off your brush. Once again, we're not looking for a great deal of detail. This is too far away. Just want some background. Maybe there's a little right in here. There's one. And leave some of these unpainted. Don't put any highlight on them. It makes it look like trees that are really far away, even more distant. There we go. Now then, let's take the large brush and very gently, I'm just going to start lifting up. Very, very gently. Going to add a small amount of the cad yellow here, just so it mixes with this purplish color that we have underneath. Just lift upward. Make it look like maybe a little hill that's far, far away. There we go. Isn't that fantastic that you can make a background that quick? I used to work for weeks to make a background, and even longer to do the painting. Okay, let's jump in here and start us a barn. Now, if you were with us on previous shows, we've decided it's quite helpful if we take and scrape out a basic shape, and it gets rid of the loose, thin paint off the canvas, and we can put our firm paint back on and really take off. So let's decide where the old barn's going to be. And as I say, this is going to be a big, huge barn, maybe right here, like so, and just put in a basic shape. This is a super way just to lay out your ideas without really committing yourself. Maybe it comes down like that, and then out. There we go. And just take that loose paint right off the canvas. Now we can put our firm paint back on. It'll be right against the fabric, and it'll really give us something to work with. Okay, Van Dyke Brown. Let's go right into the Van Dyke Brown and begin blocking in this basic barn. There we go. Just straight old Van Dyke Brown. Just let the knife do the work. Okay, maybe right down through here. And we just fill all this up with brown. It only takes you a second when you're using a big old knife. Okay. That'll give us a nice base color to work with. Maybe it comes right out here like so. One over here, one out here. And we can just fill all this in. And we're not worried about detail at this time. All we're doing is laying the base color in. So don't worry about detail. See, already we have a nice basic barn shape here. There we go. And now we can begin worrying about little details. Okay, and we'll take some Van Dyke Brown and permanent red. And maybe this old barn has shingles on it, so we'll put some shingles. There we go. It gives us a nice color to work with. Now, up here we're going to have some angles that we just see the edge of the shingle, so we really don't have to spend a great deal of time worrying about them here. All we're going to see is the edges. Okay, just drop these in. All I'm doing is just touching the canvas and following the angles that we've put into the roof here. When you're doing buildings, angles are very, very important. In this series, we've tried to show you quite a few buildings and just let you go. Now then, take a little bit of the titanium white, a little brown in it, just a small amount of brown. And let's begin highlighting these little edges. Maybe there's a little highlight here and one that comes right down like so. Okay. Now, we can work on this angle right here. And I'm going to take, let me clean up a spot here to work on. I'm going to take and mix up some phthalo green and alizarin crimson in about equal parts. Make us a nice gray color. There we are. Very, very dark, very dark. Now we'll take a little bit of white, Maybe a touch more of the crimson into that. That's better. That's what I'm looking for. Nice gray color. Okay. Now, let's go right up in here. And angles, once again, are most important. Just pull it across. And you can vary that with a little bit of darker color if you want to push it back a little further, make it look old. And we need to come right down through here with a highlight. Sun would strike right there, like so. And now it's time to start figuring out where the other side of the barn is here. Before we do that, though, we can take a little bit of the light brown and make it look like little boards in here, little pieces of wood. All we're doing is just touching the canvas. Maybe there's a big door right here where they load the hay. There we go. Then we need to highlight around the door. Just a little bit of color. Maybe there's some boards here that they made the door out of. Now, let's come right down here and put another highlight, just to give us an idea. And let's make some shingles on this roof. And just like you were laying shingles, start at the bottom using the little edge of the knife. And just start laying in some shingles. Start at the bottom. And layer them. So the bottom of the top one covers the top of the bottom one. That's hard to say. And just do one row at a time. And these old shingles are all beat up and weather beaten, and they've had a rough life out here. Follow the angles in your roof. Most important. And this will give it a layered appearance. There we go. Just keep layering till you get all the way to the top. And at home, when you have all kinds of time, you can really make some little tiny shingles and put a lot of detail into this. There, that gives us a nice shingle-looking roof. Now we have to make some more determinations here. Where does this come? Maybe it comes right out like that. And we'll just put this in to sort of give us a guide to follow. Let's get a little bit more of the brown and permanent red. And we can begin laying some shingles right here. Now these are laying down, so you don't see them at the same angle that you would see these here. So all you have to do is just touch the canvas. Just touch the canvas. And let it go. There. Isn't that a super way to put a roof on a barn? God, I wished it was that easy in real life. Okay. Now, let's take blue, Van Dyke brown, and a little touch of white. There we go. Just mix it up till it's marbled. And we can begin putting some boards here. Maybe from here right down. Just let them come down. Like so. And we want this to be all weather beaten, so let the paint break. Let all these little things happen. Maybe there's a little touch of this color right up here, just so it follows through. Put in some little boards here, just by dragging the knife right down through the paint, like so, wherever you think they should be. Now this side over here, we want to keep it very, very dark, very dark. So just some little indications. And we can just put a few little indications of a board here and there. We don't want a lot of detail over here. Okay, now, we need a door to get in that barn. We gotta have a way to put the horse in there. So let's just come right here, and maybe there's a big door on this barn. Just like so. Just pull it across. This is just straight Van Dyke brown. There we go. And we can take a little bit of the light color and highlight it so that door stands out. There. Son of a gun, we got a pretty good looking old barn going here. Okay, now, let's clean up a spot on the palette again so we can work. And we can begin putting some land around the barn. Straight Van Dyke brown, put a little bit of burnt umber into it. Now we can begin filling all this in. Maybe there's an angle like so with the land. There we are. And this is where we worry about at the bottom of our barn and begin getting it straight and everything worked out. Just put the dark in. We need some dirt under there. Then we'll plant some grass on it and let it grow. Just like so. Okay. Now maybe right down here, maybe there's a little pond. Just a small little pond that maybe the farmer dug it himself. So he'd have a place for his cows and horses to get a little drink of water. So we'll just pull a little bit of this brown down and allow that to be our reflection. Now what's fun is to reflect the whole barn into the water. Okay, now gently go across. Okay, now we can take our fan brush and start putting some little grassy areas in here. We'll use some cad yellow, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little touch of permanent red. Just mix these on the brush, and some sap green. And let these colors mix in the brush, and that way you have a multitude of things happening right here in the brush. You don't have to spend a lot of time trying to mix all these different colors. Touch, push upward. Make all those little grassy things just sort of happen there. And do it in layers, starting from the area that's farthest away and work forward. Just do it in layers. And this is the way you create the contour of the land. Well, let's see now. We got some grass up there. So let's put, maybe there's a happy little road here. A little place where they go into the barn. There it comes. Just drop it in. This is just Van Dyke brown and burnt umber. And then we'll go back with a little brown and white. And we can lay a tiny little bit of highlight on here. There, we don't know where that road goes. It just disappears. There we go. Now we can begin putting some grass on the other side of the road. Just drop it in, using the old fan brush here. There. It's beginning to look like an old barn yet. I like to do old buildings. I think they're just fantastic. I spend a lot of time with the camera taking pictures of old buildings for ideas as we travel around the country. Let's take a little brown and white here. And maybe maybe there's a little highlight that shows right here, so we'll just put a little bit here and there. You know, there's a million things around you every day to paint. Just look around and notice them. That's all it takes. They're always present. But we see them so often, we have a tendency just to overlook them. So take the time to look at them. Nature is fantastic, but you just have to spend a little time appreciating it, studying it. There's beauty in every tree, in every bush. There we go. Just put a little water line around there. A couple little ripples on the water. Maybe there's a little water line right there. Wherever you want them. This is your world. Okay, now we got a whole right side here we have to do something with. So, let's take a little bit of sap green, alizarin crimson, Van Dyke brown. We'll just mix it together on the brush here. And let's go right up in here and take the big brush and let's just push a happy little tree right out of the brush. There it goes. There. Just let it flow right out of the brush. What started out as a happy little tree ends up as a happy big tree. And some little things right in here, wherever. Just let your heart take you wherever you want to go. There we go. Maybe this just comes right down like so. We'll just fill all this up with some nice dark color. Need the dark in order to show light. There. You know, just looking at my barn here, we ought to have a wheel to pull the hay up. So I'll take a little bit of paint thinner and thin down my Van Dyke brown till it's almost like water on the liner brush. Bring it to a nice sharp point. And let's go right up here. Maybe an old wheel up here. And just go around like so. Put some spokes in that wheel. This is so they can pull the hay up and put it up in the barn. So when it gets cold, the old cow's got a little something to eat. And the little stick, it comes out here that holds that wheel. Okay. Let's take a little bit of Van Dyke brown, a little white on one side, and very quickly drop in a couple little trunks here. There he goes. I'll give him a little friend right there. Alrighty. Now, we can take the 1-inch brush. We'll use a little bit of cad yellow and sap green. And let's begin highlighting some of these beautiful little things back here. Just drop them in. Oh, there's a nice one. There's a nice one. There's one right there. Just drop these little rascals wherever you want them. Let's put some up here on this big tree. This is just cad yellow, a little bit of sap green. Just drop the rascals anywhere you want them. Let your imagination just go free. Okay, now maybe the old farmer had him a little fence out here, so let's just drop a happy little fence in. We'll put a few little posts here. There they go. Maybe there's one more right there, and one that we just barely can see. Touch a little highlight to them. Bloop. Don't want a great deal, just a little, just to make them stand out. A little magic white on the knife, and put some wire on that fence. Got 3 strands there. Okay, now we can finish this rascal up. Come right along here and drop in some another little bush. If you're going to be painting along with us next week, we'll be doing a white canvas, so you can have your easel set up all ready to go. Paint along with us. Let's take a little bit of brown. I'm getting crazy here. We're out of time, but we'll do it anyway. I'm going to put a little path right here. We need a little path so we can walk around. Just Van Dyke brown. Let it mix with the colors underneath. Just like so. And we'll take a little bit of brown and white and put some highlight on here. There we are. Give us a little path. Then we put a few little bushes right over here, just to close that path in. Okay. And I think this one is just about finished. We can drop a signature in here and have a finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's a great deal of fun. It will teach you a lot about buildings and make your heart happy. Let's sign on the right side this time. We'll drop a quick signature in here. I'd like to wish each and every one of you happy painting. God bless. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.